In his book, The Transcendental Unity of Religion, the great Sufi philosopher Frithjof Schuon draws a distinction between religion and mysticism, or the exoteric and esoteric paths to God. Religions, with their ornate rituals and hierarchical power structures, seek to indoctrinate and control mass populations. On the mystical path, priests have no authority. The goal is direct experience. Ah, look at them, those sadhus, like tortoises basking on a warm, sunny rock. They beam, what beautiful bodies. The sadhu does not go to the temple. He has nothing to obtain from the gods. No more longing, no needs, already there, really here. The eminence of being with being. The within ourselves that is not really ourselves, as there is no selves. Ah, he adores the divine only. He adores God who lives inside everything, who is being, who is therefore everything. God that man can become, if, through meditation and exercise, he succeeds in recognizing that he is already, since God is no other than one's innermost self. The body prevents the ascetic from uniting himself with God, from recognizing that he himself is God, and so he will make his own body the subject of his sacrifice. The space enclosed in a sealed vase is no different from the space that surrounds it, or from space anywhere. If you want proof of this, break the vase, and you will see that the two spaces were only one, as they are now. Yes, I am he, cries the ascetic, who will break his body like a vase, and who, delivered from his limits, achieves union, yog. Yoga is a Sanskrit word that comes from the root yush, which means to join, together. Simply put, yoga means union. In many ways, the term yoga is similar to the English term communion. It refers to the state of union, or communion, with God, one's true self, or higher power. Whoever is pure in heart will see God. The scientist knows only the external God he calls matter. The yogi's purpose is to know the inner God called self. It seems obvious to him that this unknowable principle exists, and that it is one and the same in himself and in all other things. The adept is told, fix yourself and stop thinking, which seems to me not just difficult but near impossible, even as a person who meditates. So it is vexing to learn that in order to attain truth, it behooves us to give up altogether thinking. The function of thought is to unify the multiple. Faced with the one, it has nothing to do. It can only try to break it up. But the purpose of meditation is knowledge of the one, of the inner one, of the self. Thought cannot force its way in there. The very nature of thought, and not a failing of thought, prevents it from penetrating this mystery. Thought must renounce itself in order to conceive the one. Thought, then, is and not is thinking, which sounds odd, but there is another kind of thought, intuition, which is not exactly thought. By various persevering exercises of diet, posture, breathing, intellectual concentration and moral discipline, the yogi comes to know and control his conditioned nature, enters into samadhi, and comes face to face with facts which no instinct or reason can ever know. She learns that the mind itself has a higher state of existence, beyond reason, a super-conscious state, not accompanied with the feeling of egoism. There is no feeling of I, and yet the mind works, desireless, free from restlessness, objectless, bodiless. We came to a promontory of sorts, a kind of ledge or lookout point on the Ghat. Perhaps it was a cafe or restaurant, abandoned or not yet opened. It was a quiet place that overlooked the water and the many bathers and sadhus. There was a large blue striped umbrella there, so Shakti laid out a paisley pink blanket she had bought onto the ground. We lay there, held each other's hands, and got close, and soon, very soon, she was asleep. And soon I lay my head on her heart and looked out onto the river. Amidst the glistening water, I noticed, with his long matted hair and thin body and large warm eyes, one of the many holy wanderers, or sadhus, about. Considered the holiest of beings, sadhus are ascetics who've successfully let go of all attachments. This sadhu's forehead is covered with a beautiful sandalwood paste. I watch and observe him. He seems in a state of no mind, sensual and relaxed, and seems to see me. In the Vedic literature, the term sadhu connotes someone who is well-disposed, kind and willing, peaceful and virtuous. In the Hindu epics, a saint, sage, seer, holy man. The sadhus are those that have chosen to live lives apart from or on the edges of society, to focus on their own spiritual practice. Soon, this saint, this seer, this Baba was hovering beside me like a cloud or mist, tranquil and light, in a meditation pose with his lovely painted face and groomed long beard. I noticed now the colors of orange blossom and jasmine as well.
Hey, Mark, all these years you have worked, labored and suffered incessantly. For what? Is it not time for the desire of your mind to become the desire of your heart?
I half smiled in discomfort and amusement, and reached out with a pointed finger to touch him. "Who are you? Who knows me so well?" I asked.
Is it not all the same to you who I am and what I am?
He replied, hovering there like a misty saucer.
There is alive in you a curiosity. Is it really still so strong that at this moment you are ready to give up yourself, with your whole being, to an analysis of the knowledge of yourself?
Wait, whoa, I thought.
If you feel with all your being that you're ready, then I advise you to try once more. If you clearly feel and recognize without any doubt that everything for which you have striven until now has been a mirage, and if you agree to one condition, I will try to help you.
Oh, wow. I wondered, what could this condition be?
And this condition is that you consciously give yourself equanimity in pleasure and pain, loss and gain, victory and defeat.
I looked to Shakti, who was still beautifully asleep. I had hoped that she would be awake and see this hovering sadhu, but no. Was I really seeing this? And then the hovering guru, like the god Matsaya, was gone. 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 I sat there marveled and bewildered. Oh my God, I thought. What just happened? I took some deep breaths and just looked out into the sky. Soon Shakti woke with a beatific smile and turned to me with a wink. We got up and started to walk along, and I asked myself, this floating, hovering genie, this demon of sorts, this vision, am I a fool lost in dreams? Yes, I am a fool. I wander along with a sack on my back, which contains all the sacred symbols, and yet I don't know what they mean. I don't know what's in this act, do I? My pants are falling down, I said to myself. I am a fool. Yes, I can see that, Shakti responded, as if reading my thoughts. Empty mind, nothing to wait for, nothing to receive.
The mystic doesn't claim to be logical. This sphere of experience is the unspeakable. It will not stand the test of logic. And so, the voice quietly said to me,
One who has the courage to undergo the shattering of the illusion will die, but will die in the mystical sense, so that he may live again. The ego is the illusion which dies.
And as we turned the corner, walking through the mud and morning mist in the narrow corridor of the ancient city, we pass another gentle white-horned cow, this one with an egret on its back. A low morning sun projects its rays upon me. Almost all mystics and visionaries have experienced reality in terms of light, either of light in its naked purity, or of light infusing and radiating out of things and persons, seen with the inner eye or in the external world. I knew this light, this infusion of light, anticipatory to death. This makes me quietly ecstatic, and for a moment I join in union with the bliss of all consciousness. In this felicitous state, I merge with the cosmic spirit.
As we walk along, a young Hindi teen wearing a t-shirt of the goddess Kali with a garland of skulls and rings skateboards by, almost in slow motion. The heads are of the demons Kali has killed to save the universe from their atrocities. Was it the old man in the mountain telling the assassin what to do, or was it the assassin's inner demon? The demon is a part of your soul, your mind, that seems to be sort of autonomous. Socrates is reported to have been inhabited by a demon, which, in crucial moments, warned him what not to do. And thinking this, I trip again, crestfallen, sit down, and look out stubbornly. And the demon speaks.
One day, the skull ring symbolizes death. Another, it symbolizes eternity. But the beggar you give it to will only see its monetary value. When will you realize that others cannot give you what you already have in yourself? As long as you do not find this treasure in yourself, you will continue to project your doubts onto others.
I felt wounded and dejected hearing this, and groaned with irony. Thank you so much, Shakti. My demon, my inner voice, my beautiful love. At last I understand. In order to awaken, I must become a beggar. strip myself of my personal anxieties in order to attain poverty of spirit, transforming myself into an empty bowl and waiting patiently for my essential being, the great Buddha, to grant me the alms of awakening. And then I heard a piercing and violent shriek come out of Shakti. She made me prostrate with my forehead on the ground, right there on the gat, and then she administered a flurry of blows with a stick, one after the other, 30 blows. When she had finished, she said,
"The wisdom of the master depends on your own capacity to use it to find yourself."
I was in shock. And then she recited an Indian proverb as if it were a holy sutra.
"He who has the most saliva eats the most gulab jamun." That is, if you don't know.
A super sweet, sticky, and wickedly irresistible Indian dessert. Still feeling hurt, I countered, "You can't eat gulab jamun and whistle at the same time, can you?" She laughed heartily, rubbing her belly.
Exactly. Each thing in its own time.
Treasure, she said, needs not just to be found, but to be cultivated. Zen monks will use a series of strikes with an awakening stick administered on the meditator's back and shoulders in the muscular area between the shoulder and the spine. Though it may cause a momentary sting if performed vigorously, these strikes are not injurious. Shakti wanted to stop all that thinking in my head, and she did for a bit. The rational human being no longer wants to imagine they can be swallowed up by transpersonal forces, and yet they are everywhere. Demons, archetypes, possessives in search of a host. Is the cloud in the sky just a cloud? Or an elemental letter, fluid, ambiguous, dynamic, at once a bird and a dragon, and yet neither bird nor dragon? The knots binding my soul are loosening, not without birth pangs, and I am one with the active intellect, the intermediary between the divine and human spheres. The I narrative, focused and singular, seems to be moving, drifting, yes, loosening like those clouds. I walk along with Shakti, who seemed more than ever to have cultivated that inner Buddha sense of a dense, quiet silence, yet fully present to the now. The mystic remains certain of the realm they have experienced. Gandhi and Mother Teresa credit their inner condition of ego dissolution, that is no personal self, for their love toward the world and desire to teach. Their certitude affords them an indefatigable stamina for universal love and selfless service, emerging from the experiential realization of the oneness of existence. Such mystics have ventured into the furthest interior realms and reached the Unio Mystica. Unio Mystica is a trope of impossibility, whose aim defies the common sense of human experience. It is the state of being that takes away the me, so only you remain. The medieval Spanish Kabbalist Abraham Abulafia, the wandering mystic, wrote, "All the inner forces and the hidden souls in men are differentiated in the bodies. It is, however, in the nature of all of them that when their knots are untied, they return to their origin." which is one without any duality, and which comprises the multiplicity.